The downside to Taurus's speed and brute strength is that once it begins charging, it cannot stop or change direction. So Ash will command Linoon to jump and dodge, and instead Taurus would hit rocks and damage itself, along with the recoil damage since it was using takedown all the time. So eventually Taurus would knock itself out. So after that, Fiona would send in her Heracross. Heracross would battle against Linoon, but Linoon would have been hurt by Tauros. So Heracross would easily take down Linoon. After that, Ash would send in Houndoom, which would defeat Heracross with one Fire Blast. After that, Fiona would send in Octillery. Octillery would be very powerful. This battle will be quite even despite Houndoom's type disadvantage. But in the end, both Pokemon knocked each other out with a Fire Blast and Noctizuka. Ash would then send in Typhlosion, meanwhile Fiona would send in Donphan. This would be a battle of pure power. Despite the type disadvantage, Typhlosion would have intense power, so it would be able to keep up with Donphan. But in the end, the fight would come to a head when both Pokemon collided with a Rollout and Flame Wheel, knocking out both Pokemon. After that, it would be half time, and then the trainers would both send out Tyranitar and Feraligatr respectively. This battle would be long and hard. Despite the type disadvantage, Tyranitar's pseudo-legendary status would be able to make up for the type disadvantage. Tyranitar would be battling Feraligatr with Fury, and Feraligatr would be responding with Fury as well. This battle would be long, but in the end, the type advantage would prove to be too much for the pseudo-legendary. After that, Fiona would send in her powerful Magmar, her strongest Pokemon, and Ash would get cocky and say, "Oh wow, Magmar, you stand no chance, I'm gonna win." Fiona would say, "Don't get too cocky now. Magmar is not my strongest Pokemon for no reason." And with one Fire Punch, Magmar would take down Feraligatr, shocking everyone there, especially Ash. And the referee would say, "Wow, that Magmar sure is powerful." I don't see how Ash will respond back with such power. Ash would have been revealed to have swapped out Bailey for Hariyama. Ash would have chosen this Pokemon for a reason, because he had seen Fiona's team prior, and he had known that Hariyama would be the Pokemon that would win him the battle. So Hariyama would battle with Magmar. The battle would be even until Magmar burned Hariyama with a flamethrower. But then a flaming aura would appear around Hariyama, and it would become much stronger. It would attack Magmar, doing a lot of damage to Magmar. Fiona would be very confused, thinking that the burn would weaken Hariyama, but Ash would explain that Hariyama's ability is Guts, so when its status afflicted, its attacks are much stronger. And Ash would have found this out when Hariyama and Crobat got into a battle. Crobat poisoned Hariyama. After its poison, activated its Guts ability and overwhelmed Crobat despite the massive type disadvantage. But Crobat was okay after that. So after this, Hariyama would easily overwhelm the tired and weakened Magmar and would win Ash the battle. After that, Fiona would shake his hand and would say, "That was an amazing battle. Thank you." And Ash would say, Thank you for this amazing battle as well, Fiona. You are amazing. Shouldn't have underestimated your magma. It sure is a powerful Pokemon. And then after that, I should battle Jonathan. Jonathan would say, Ash, things will be different than last time. You're not going to win this time. And I should say, we'll see. Jonathan would send out Elekid, meanwhile Ash would send out Bayleaf. He had swapped her out in this fight. And from the get-go, it wouldn't be the best matchup for Jonathan. So, Bayleaf would be dominating against Elekid until Elekid was pushed to its limit and evolved. But this wasn't enough, and it was still taken out by the Leaf Dinosaur, Pokemon, whatever Bayleaf is. Anyway, Jonathan sent in Noctowl, the shiny Noctowl that Ash caught in Cannon. The reason why Ash didn't get it this time and used Crobat for Johto was because Jonathan had got there before him and caught Noctowl. So, Bayleaf would put up a decent fight, but the type disadvantage would prove to be too powerful for Bayleaf, causing it to faint. After that, Ash would send in Houndoom. Houndoom would easily be able to overwhelm the weakened Noctowl. After that, both traders would give each other a look, and Ash would return Houndoom, would send in Linoon, and Jonathan would send in his Linoon. This battle would be long and hard, identical to the battle in the Evergrande Conference, but this time, both Pokemon were even, truly even. There was no advantage between any one of them. They were both fighting evenly. Clashes between Thunderbolts and Hyper Beams, slashes and slashes, takedowns and takedowns, quick attacks and quick attacks. Both Pokemon were tired. But then, they used their final attacks, Hyper Beam and Thunderbolt. The explosion knocked out both Pokemon. And after that, both traders would then send out Shiftry and Houndoom respectively. And let's just say, Houndoom burnt Shiftry to a crisp, without even trying very much. And after that, Jonathan would send in his Quagsire. This Pokemon, Quagsire, will be of a unique colouring, so Ash would pull out his Pokedex, and it would say that it is shiny. Ash would be shocked, because this was the first shiny that he had seen other than Noctowl. Ash had pulled out the Pokedex for Noctowl, so forget the Pokedex for Quagsire. Anyway, so Houndoom would battle against Quagsire. It would put up a good fight, but the type advantage would prove to be stronger. And with a few Hydro Pumps and Earthquakes, Houndoom would be defeated. After that, Ash would send in his Feraligatr. This battle will be long and hard, a battle between two powerful water types. Clashes between Ice Punches, clashes between Hydro Pumps. This battle will be long and hard. It would seem to have gone on for hours. But then, both Pokemon would only have one move left, Hydro Pump. And both Pokemon would launch the move. It will be a clash. But in the end, Feraligator's Hydro Pump would eventually win out and would hit Quagsire, knocking it out. Since Feraligator had the superior stamina, it had held out longer than Quagsire, giving it the win. After that, Jonathan would say, I received this Pokemon from a guy called Oak. He visited here in Johto, and he gave it to me for helping him out with a few things. And Jonathan would send out Venusaur. Ash would have never seen Venusaur, so he would send out his Pokedex and it would read Venusaur, and it would read its like Pokemon Leaf Green entry. Yeah. So the battle would go on. Feraligatr would be able to put up a good fight with Ice Punch and Hydro Pump, but the type advantage that Venusaur had would eventually prove to be too powerful for the water crocodile Pokemon, eventually knocking it out. After that, Ash would send in Typhlosion. Typhlosion would have the type advantage and it would battle against Venusaur. Venusaur and Typhlosion would battle for what seemed like hours. Despite the type disadvantage, Venusaur would have Earthquake and Solar Beam, and it would Leech Seed Typhlosion, which would be able to keep the battle even. But then Typhlosion would burn Venusaur, and all the advantage that Venusaur once had over Typhlosion would have all disappeared, and Typhlosion would easily take the win. After that, Jonathan would come to Ash and would say, Ash, you have proven yourself to be the superior trainer. I have enjoyed our rivalry, and now I think it's time to end it. And Ash would say, I agree, Jonathan. This rivalry's been amazing. I guess I'll see you again someday, and we'll battle. And Jonathan would say, yes, we shall, good friend. And they would shake hands, and they would leave. That night, Ash and Harrison would spend time together, but no, not in that way, no. Not a romantic way, no. But in a normal way, yeah. So, Harrison and Ash would be there talking about their adventures throughout everywhere. And then Harrison would talk about which starter Ash received from Professor Birch. And Ash would reveal that he was late to Professor Birch. So he didn't get your classic starter, and he would reveal that he had gotten Aggron. And Harrison would say, wow, despite it not being a typical starter, it seems to be strong and it seems to respect you, Ash. And Ash would say, yes, it is. And then both trainers would go, and the next day they would battle. Ash would send out Lanu, meanwhile Harrison sent out Kecleon. Kecleon's camouflage ability wouldn't be able to affect Lanu, since Lanu was also a normal type and had normal type attacks. So both trainers would go at it. Both Pokemon would go at it. And Lanu would easily defeat Kecleon since its camouflage wouldn't be there. But Kecleon had gotten a few good hits off. After that, Harrison sent out Sneasel. His battle would be a battle of speed and power. The Pokemon would be going toe-to-toe. But in the end, Sneasel would win since it was a fresh Pokemon and Lanoon was a bit weakened by Kecleon. After that, Ash would send out Houndoom. Houndoom would easily defeat Sneasel with its fire-type attacks, like Flamethrower and Fire Blast. After that, Harrison would send out his own Houndoom. This would be a powerful mirror battle between two powerful Houndooms. Harrison's Houndoom would be spamming Counter, which would give Ash hard time, but then Ash would begin to use the debris around him to his advantage, and he would launch a massive fire blast into the ground, which would explode under Houndoom, which would send it flying, and the explosion would have broken the random fuel generator inside, making it a bit inactive and meaning it would need some fixing, but the battle would still continue. And after a bit of back and forth, Ash's Houndoom would win, since its strategy had really weakened Harrison's. After that, Harrison would send out Steelix. Steelix would be very powerful. Same with Houndoom. The battle would be very even. But Houndoom was weakened from earlier. And then, finally, the Pokemon that came out on top was Steelix, after a combination of Earthquake and Iron Tail. After that, Ash would send out Bayleaf. Bayleaf would use its grass-type attacks to hurt Steelix, and Steelix would retaliate with a few Steel-type and ground attacks. But in the end, the winner was Bayleaf. After that, Harrison sent out Hypno. Hypno would use its psychic abilities would use hypnosis to put Bayleaf to sleep. I would use its psychic abilities to overwhelm Bayleaf. After that, Ash would send in Feraligatr. Feraligatr would dodge hypnosis, and it would beat up Hypno into submission. After that, Harrison would send out Blaziken. Ash would know how strong Blaziken is, so he would have Feraligatr keep its guard up. But in the end, the powerful Blaziken would easily defeat Feraligatr. My reasoning for this is, if Ash's Charizard defeated Gary's Blastoise easily like it did, then Harrison's Blaziken can defeat Ash's Feraligatr easily. So, after that, Ash should set in Typhlosion. This would be a battle of two powerful fire starters, but Typhlosion would have been tied from the Venusaur battle, but had decided it wanted to participate in the battle to beat Blaziken. So this battle will be long and hard, both Pokemon pushing each other to the limits, clashes between fire punches, flamethrowers, flame wheels and blaze kicks, aerial aces and quick attacks, both Pokemon tiring each other out. But in the end, it'll come down to a clash between two moves, quick attack and aerial ace. And the Pokemon that will come out on top would be Blaziken. If Typhlosion had rested a bit more, it would have won, but it was still weakened from Venusaur's Earthquakes and Solar Beams from the last battle. So Ash would send out his Aggron as his final Pokemon. Aggron would easily defeat the tired and weakened Blaziken after a few Iron Tails and Rock Slides. After that, Ash would shake Harrison's hand. Harrison would say that Ash has truly grown as a trainer, and that he respects him now, and that he respects him as an equal. I mean, as the better trainer. But one day they'll battle again, and he'll win, and I should say yes. And the friends would leave the battlefield as rivals. After that, Brandon would battle Ash. Ash would use Feraligatr against Skarmory. Ash would think that the battle would play out just like the one in the Evergrande Conference, where he would win. But this time, things would be different. Skarmory would dish out some decent damage on Feraligatr, weakening it quite a bit, but Feraligatr's brute strength would prove to be too much for the Iron Bird Pokemon, whatever Skarmory is. It's a metal bird, yeah. After that, he would send in Kingdra. Kingdra would easily overwhelm Feraligatr with its powerful dragon-type attacks. But it will be a bit weakened for a few ice punches here and there. After that, Ash would send in Crobat. Crobat would poison and really weaken Kingdra. But Kingdra would freeze Crobat's wing, its left wing, with Ice Beam, but Crobat would finish it off with a Sludge Bomb. After that, Brandon would send in his Salamence. His spell will be similar to the one in the Silver Conference, but Salamence would clip its opponent with a flamethrower, which Brandon had taught it. After that, Ash sent in Houndoom. This battle will be long and hard for both sides. We'll go out for what seemed like hours. But then, Houndoom would get a slight advantage with a Fire Blast and would win. After that, Piloswine would come in. This battle will be even. But Piloswine was fresh, meanwhile Houndoom was exhausted from its last battle. So despite Piloswine, Houndoom putting up a very, very good fight and giving Piloswine a run for its money, Piloswine would be the one to come out on top in this scuffle. After that, it would be half time and the field generator would have been fixed by a technician, so it would generate to a rocky field. And Ash would send in Hariyama. Hariyama would battle Piloswine, with Piloswine being no pushover, being one of Brandon's most powerful Pokemon, according to Brandon. It would be able to do a lot of damage on Hariyama, and using the rocky field to its advantage, with Earthquake. But in the end, the type advantage that Hariyama had would overwhelm Piloswine. After that, Brandon would send in Steelix. This battle will be long and hard, but despite the efforts of Hariyama and its intense power, Steelix was the fresher Pokemon and hadn't sustained any prior damage, so it would come out on top. Brandon would say, Steelix is far stronger than before, so don't expect it to just fall to type advantages and type disadvantages like it did last time. So then, Ash would send in Typhlosion. Typhlosion would have been rested this time, but Steelix would be very powerful. This battle will go on for a very, very long time, both sides not giving up, but in the end it will come to a clash between a Fire Punch and an Iron Tail, and both attacks would knock out both sides. And then both trainers would be forced to send in their last Pokemon, Sceptile and Aggron. These were both the most powerful Pokemon from both sides. The battle would be similar to the Silver Conference. Clashes between Metal Claws and Leaf Blades, Rock Slides and Solar Beams, Aerial Aces and Iron Tails. Would be a long and hard battle until both Pokemon were very weak and had only one move left. Metal Claw and Leaf Blade respectively. They would charge in just like last time and would attack each other. But this time, both Pokemon would be knocked out. Shocking Brandon and Ash, because Ash felt like he was invincible and couldn't be beaten or drawn by anyone. And Brandon felt like, how could this happen? This has never happened before to anyone. I wonder what's gonna happen. And then the referee would make his decision. And he would say that Brandon wins because Brandon used strategy over power. Because when he used Aerial Ace, the referee noticed that Brandon used other attacks and used Aerial Ace as a disguise for other attacks, since he knew Aerial Ace wouldn't do much. And Brandon would be declared the winner, since he had won with not only power, but in strategy. And Brandon would get the trophy, and he would be offered by the organizer of the Johto League the Silver Conference to challenge the Elite Four. But Brendan would say that he'll tell them his decision later. After that, Ash would go back to Little Root Town, where he would go to Charles Good Show and would tell him his decision. Like last time, I didn't cover this when Ash won the Evergrande Conference, but Charles Goodshaw approached him and asked him if Ash was going to challenge the Elite Four, but Ash would say that he'll come and tell Charles his decision once he has made it. And Ash had made the decision, and he would say, yes, I'm going to challenge the Elite Four. And Charles would give Ash 3 months to prepare. And Ash would send out all his Pokemon and begin the training. Right, that's all for today. Next part will